All right, so why are you out here today? So what are you out here for tonight? Why are you out here today? Why are you out here today?
One of our favorite songs right now is If My Uterus Were a Gun, Those Guys Would Leave It Alone. Songs like that.
Rights, particularly for our rights for reproductive health. We are federally recognized!
Abortion is a right and cannot be infringed by any states or anyone else. And it's important to send a message to everyone here in Wisconsin that nationally and here we need to protect that right. Yeah, I'm just worried about, friends and everyone making that difficult to get abortions and losing that sort of control over their body.
All right, so why are you out here today?
Pro-choice and abortion is probably the political issue that I feel the strongest on. Definitely feel like there's no reason right now, especially to be taking rights away from people, especially when they're already in place. More than 50,000 U.S. cases of severe maternal morbidity every year. 600,000 homeless, 2 million incarcerated. Prioritize the living over the unborn. We have much bigger fish to fry rather than focusing on this issue, which we seem to be coming back to time and time again.
We won't go back because historically coat hangers were used when no other options were available for women. Other than mass amounts of women dying from unsafe abortions, I think you also see a loss of female talent.
Yeah.
You see all the people who would have become, followed other dreams, and something that hopefully would just be an unfortunate blip in their timeline becomes a life-changing circumstance. I know people who are on the forced pregnancy, pro-forced pregnancy say that they, will just put it up for adoption. But unfortunately, we have an overburdened foster care system as it is, and this would just create a greater strain on an already broken system.
What'd you say, pro-forced?
Pro-forced birth.
Is that like pro-life people?
Yes, I think it's kind of antithetical to call them pro-life if they don't also stand for, reducing the financial and social burden that is motherhood.
So why are you out here today?
I'm here because I also marched before abortion was legal.
Oh.
I remember those days way before 1973, and so I'm here to express a voice for women who don't have a voice, particularly my granddaughters.
You were active around Roe v. Wade as well.
I marched in the 60s, yes.
What was that like compared to now?
It's the same thing.
Same thing?
I wish I could say it was different. What I'm really afraid of is that young people won't understand how serious this is right now. Because young people have grown up with all of this being protected and safe.
Right, that's all I've ever known is it being legal.
Yeah. It's beyond anybody's comprehension that we could go backwards like this. But we remember what that was like.
Right,
and it was a horrible situation for everyone involved, for all human beings. We're the raging grannies of Madison. We're very active politically, and we're all old.
Yeah.
So we all remember what things used to be like, and we feel we have a responsibility to try to protect that for people who are younger than we are. We would never have dreamed that we would be back in this situation. Never. And here we are. Find out, speak out, and act out.
I'm with the International Marxist Tendency. We're a Marxist organization working to build the forces of Marxism in the United States and 40 countries around the world to eventually overthrow this rotten capitalist system. We need to build a revolutionary party in advance of revolutionary events so that we can finally put an end to capitalist exploitation instead of having these protest movements just grow and then ebb and grow and ebb, and they get betrayed every time by the Democrats and obstructed by the Republicans. So we're fighting for an independent working class socialist party that can actually achieve these aims. Consider the George Floyd protests. With all of that energy, there was the possibility that leaders in government could have made sweeping changes to the way policing is done in this country. but they decided not to.
Right.
And Biden hasn't done shit since he got elected. None of them have an interest to do this. So the thing that a socialist party would do is actually deliver on their promises, because they're not worried about stepping on the capitalist toes. Protests are never enough in themselves. We need to organize so that we can fight back together. And that's why I'm a part of the IMT, so that I can start building that revolutionary party. I think that the unions should mobilize their membership and start sympathy strikes. Start showing the ruling class that if we don't defend our basic democratic rights, then they don't get their economy, because we're the ones who run it.
Yeah. And what's a sympathy strike?
To my understanding, a sympathy strike is what a labor union does to express sympathy with a particular cause or other labor struggle that isn't directly connected to their workplace issues. Say when Act 10 got passed. Were you in Wisconsin when that happened?
I don't think so.
Okay, so Act 10 just gutted union protections in Wisconsin, and there were massive protests. And that was the moment at which the unions could have called a political strike. They could have said, we're not working until you take this off the table.
You're right.
That's the sort of strike that I'm looking for. My message is class independence. The capitalists will always fight for their interests, and we can't just convince them that that's not a good idea. And what this is expressed in the Democratic and Republican parties. They're just two factions of the ruling class that like to distract us with their little football game. Ultimately, we need a working class alternative, which means a workers' socialist party in the United States.
Tried to get the people at the church to talk. They didn't want to talk with us. They just wanted to stand there with their signs.
I am honestly just tired of people on the right just trying to take everyone else's rights away. So it's one of those things, like, it's been happening for so long. So many people are so pissed, and I'm one included. I'm out here specifically armed tonight, kind of the counter the far-right militia movement and how they basically try to force their oppression through the threat of violence. Far-left armed movements aren't easy to come by, but people are getting so pissed nowadays that it's starting to become a thing. From the opinion, from what I've read so far, it sounds like this is not just an attack on the rights of women's right to reproduction, right to their own body, but as well as to privacy. Honestly, I just want them to go one fucking second without taking somebody's rights away.
We can't just do this because we feel like it.
Yeah.
We need to be doing this intentionally and methodically and showing up continuously. Because if we just show up when we feel like it, we're gonna get our anger out and be done and go back to our normal lives. That can't happen. Right. Nobody knew that we were marching down State Street, and the first thing you have to do is communicate to the crowd what you're gonna do.
Right, yeah.
Because if you don't do that, there's just chaos.
Exactly.
And people can get hurt. If there isn't safety blocking traffic, some person could come and drive their car. If I wasn't there earlier blocking off traffic, those cars could have just gone and put people's lives in danger. Right. We can't rely on the police to keep us safe, because that's just being complicit in the systems we exist in and not acknowledging the trauma and the distrust there is there. BIPOC and YDSA and Madison Socialist Alternative all need to be having conversations about this, bringing in different voices to the table and making sure that we're on a united front.
What would you say to people that, see something like this on their friend's story, or whatever, and just kind of come out because, it's like you said, some people come out here just because it's a thing to do, right? It's oh, something's happening.
I'm mad, so I want to get my anger up by marching back and forth 3 times from the Capitol. I know that everyone here cares about this and wants to do something about this.
Right.
But that means in order to invest time and energy into a cause and into something you care about and you want to happen, you need to divest your energy and time from what you're already doing. So people really need to be reevaluating, what am I spending my entire day doing? And how is that contributing to a cause that I care about? Don't give up hope that you can do something, and don't just go back to your regular life. You can make a difference by showing up repeatedly, by being intentional with your time and energy. Divest from the things that don't matter and invest in the things that do, like reproductive justice.
That's a wrap here at the abortion protest in Madison, Wisconsin at the Capitol. Wish you could have interviewed a little more pro-life people. They didn't really show up, and the ones I saw at the church didn't really want to talk. So, hey, pro-life, you gotta step up your game, man. Step it up. Okay.
Yes, sir.